Hi friends! I'm so happy you're here today because I'll be talking about all the books I read in April. April was another great reading month for me. I think I read over 23 books. 23 or 25 books. Actually, I don't know. I haven't even counted. But this wrap up is going to be done a little bit differently. Usually I will just hit on the themed vlogs I did during the month, but I didn't really have any themed vlogs because I just vlogged for Old School April. And yeah, those are just kind of random. I tried to stick with a theme with those vlogs, but that just didn't happen. But I will link those vlogs down below. I won't go into like super detail with every book, or this would be really long. But yeah, anyways, let's just get right into it. I'll try to break it up by chapter. I'm going to start off with my DNF for this month. I don't usually talk about my DNFs, but I know people know I DNF'd this book, and it's a physical book too that I actually have, and that is The Ring by Koji Suzuki. I DNF'd this halfway through. This book was it was really boring too. The beginning was really boring. The characters were really annoying and sexist and horrible, and yeah, I just did not finish it. I probably will never finish this book, honestly. I don't want to ruin my my love of the movie, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I DNF'd The Ring. And I started out April with a couple of thrillers that first weekend because I was really busy because it was my birthday weekend. And we had like opening all-day sprints and stuff. Our party, our old school party, which was a ton of fun for where I could be in at because I was having my own party. I had a Beetlejuice party. Anyways, I ended up reading The Island by Adrian McKinty. This is set in Australia's like outback. A family they do something really bad, and the people of that community are like, hey, like, you gotta pay for what you did because it's really messed up. And it's really violent and pretty gnarly. I just wanted a little bit more in the ending, so I'm giving it 3 stars, but definitely worth checking out if you're feeling slumpy and need like a fast-paced thriller. And the next thriller I ended up reading was The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. This is like a Christmassy book, but it gave me Ready or Not vibes with the synopsis. So it's about a woman marrying into a really rich family, and they play certain games. There is a game in this that I thought was going to go another way, and I thought it was going to have like more supernatural stuff happening in it, but it didn't, unfortunately. Actually, I don't even remember like the twist in this one. Now that I'm thinking of it, I did originally give this 3 stars, but now I'm thinking like 2.5 because it is very forgettable. But yeah, I love the cover, and I did this for neon on the cover for Old School April. Another thriller I ended up listening to from Libby was What Lies in the Woods by Alice Marshall. Alice Marshall. I feel like she has 3 names in this. Am I losing? Yeah, Kate Alice Marshall. I forgot the Kate. So this, I like Kate Alice Marshall books. I like her YA books. So this was like a first adult thriller that I read by her, and I really enjoyed it. I will say this does lean into a true crime case, the Slender Man case, and I thought that was a little tactless with that. I was like, ooh, that is like exactly what happened. Like, and if you know that case, I might have just spoiled this whole thing with you, but there is like a few other twists that happen in it. So that just kind of made me like hesitate a bit on this book. So I think I'm leaning towards like a 3-star or 3.5 star. I'll round up to 4 on Goodreads. But yeah, I usually really like a Kate Alice Marshall book. Maybe because there isn't any like supernatural stuff in this book is why I didn't like it as much as her other ones. And the next book was one of my favorite reads of the month, of the year. After I just did like some of my favorite horror books, I read Blackwater by Michael McDowell. This is about the Kasky family saga. This is about the cat. It's real. It's a real life now. but it's huge. It is actually broken up into 6 books. So for Old School April, I counted each book as a book for extra points. This is about a flood in a town. It opens up and it's so atmospheric. It is so great. It's in a southern town. There's this flood. It's like 1920s, and there is this woman found in the hotel downtown just hanging out, and these 2 guys are like, oh my gosh, it's been 4 days, like, are you okay? Have you eaten? She's like, I'm good, but I would like to leave, like, that would be nice. So one of the guys ends up falling in love, and it's like, this woman just wants to live her life, but she is an outsider, and she's kind of pulled from, you know, certain stuff that, you know, is just her heritage, I guess, without giving much away. She has some tendencies, and yeah, I just really liked this. I loved Eleanor a lot in this. It's like, yeah, she just wanted to have a family and be happy, and there's some revenge stuff in this, which I know I'm totally biased to. I really like a good revenge trope, and it's just a beautiful story. I cried so much in my first Old School April vlog. After I finished this book, I cried for a good like 30 minutes. I could not stop crying. It's amazing. And it also pulls, there's other McDowell books referenced it, like little Easter eggs in this from his other books. So yeah, I highly suggest checking out Blackwater. I'm so glad I waited a little bit longer to read this one because I knew I was going to love it, and there's just not a ton of Michael McDowell out there. So, one of my favorite books of like all time now. 5 million stars. The next book I ended up reading in April was The Girl in the Corner by Jason Offutt. I didn't really talk about this too much during April because it took me a really long time to get through this book. I listened to it on NetGalley, and if you guys know about audiobooks on NetGalley, you have to like keep the app open. Well, it's just for it's like for me it's really weird. I don't know, and it doesn't work in my car. Maybe it's just the app being weird on my phone. So I had a tough time listening to this. Usually I can listen to a book in a day. This took me like 3 weeks. This took me almost the whole month of April to finish. And yeah, it's very Book of Accidents vibes in this. This is like about a fairy visiting a little boy. There's dual timelines. There's another world. And yeah, it was a lot. The stuff that happens in it is very graphic. It kind of reminded me of Stephen King a bit. But it just being very slow, and I guess me listening to it on an app that wasn't the greatest lessened my experience, I guess, with it. So I think I'm leaning, yeah, towards a 2.5. I'll round up to 3 on Goodreads. The next book I ended up reading in April was Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova, and I loved this book. It was beautiful. It is a grief horror book, but it's more literary than horror. There's some magical realism in this, and it was a very unique story. My only thing with this is why I gave it 4 stars is because there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of shifting POVs in it, and I didn't really feel invested or connected to those characters in it. But overall, I really liked the story a lot, and yeah, it's very unique. It is about a woman who loses a son. She cuts out a piece of his lung and puts it in a jar, and she starts to feed it, and it grows into this little monster that's on the cover. And the parents just, you know, they have to love this monster. So yeah, excellent story. Definitely a bit out of my comfort zone, but I highly recommend checking it out. And I do know my friend Amy from Amy Newell Reads, this is her book club pick for May. So definitely check it out because I think this is a really beautiful story. And if anything, I think everybody can take away something from it. The next book I ended up reading in April was Take Your Turn Teddy by Haley Newland. If you guys follow me over on Instagram, I think this is the only actual book review I did over there in April. I absolutely love this book. It took me forever to read it. It's been on my shelves forever, but it is great. Halfway through this book, this turned into a police procedural, so if you don't like that, you probably won't like this book, but I love a good police procedural. Is one of my favorite types of thrillers, are gnarly, gory, dark, broody police procedural books. So when this switched over, and it takes place in the 70s too, so it's even more grittier, I absolutely was like, yes, give it to me. Because what it sets up for at the beginning, it just has a great payoff. So we follow this boy, Teddy, who is moving with his mother, like, to get away from his father, and there is a shadow in the new house. The atmosphere is done so well in like a spooky 70s house, and the audiobook for this is so good. The voice of the shadow is like whispering the whole time, so I highly suggest the audio for this one, and I gave it 5 stars. I love how I was like, how psychological is good? This is like a psychological horror thriller book about a creepy kid. Vibes too. I kind of read this for creepy kid vibes. There's a little bit of creepy dolls, creepy toys happening in this too. Just really great and really bloody, and yeah, I'm so excited to read more from Haley Newland. I absolutely love this, and I highly suggest checking it out. The next 2 books I ended up reading were Spooksville books by Christopher Pike. I read The Secret Path and The Howling Ghost. These are middle grade books, and I listened to them on Scribd, and I had a blast with them. They were just really fun and easy to listen to. I think it was like an hour listen, so like not bad at all. And I want to read all of the Spooksville series, and I want to own them physically. But they were just really, really fun, easy reads. If you're feeling slumpy, definitely check them out on Scribd. They would be fun for Halloween, I think, and I gave them both 4 stars. The next book I ended up listening to on Scribd as well was Don't Read This or You Might Die by Wendy Darpamel. This is part of Wendy Darpamel's Southern or Florida Gothic trilogy? Just series. I think there's 6 books in the series, and I've read like 4 of them. This one goes pretty in depth with like the stuff in White Ibis, if you read White Ibis, and a little bit of the Parker, or is it Rose Parker book as well, and it just kind of builds on that, and you get like this awesome like occult ending that is very weird if you like monster books too. Without giving too much away, there's a bit of like monster supernatural stuff happening in this, but it was really fun, and I gave it 4 stars, and also this cover is fantastic. I don't know where I'm going to put it on the screen, but it's fantastic, and it's short, and I highly suggest checking it out. Next book I actually listened to on Kindle Unlimited was The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. This is my first Lucinda Berry book, but I know she has a ton of books. She's like a psychologist, a child psychologist, and yeah, so she focuses on psychological thrillers, I feel like, with kids stuff happening. Maybe, I might be wrong, but this is about an evil kid, and I liked how evil this kid was without being like really out there. Like, you're not getting Damien from The Omen, or even like Baby Teeth, that character too, or what's the other creepy kid story, The Orphan. Like, you're not getting like that type of creepy kid. You're just getting like a totally unexplained like horrifying child doing horrifying things that is slowly revealed like throughout the story. So I really did like this story. There's a lot of triggers in this, so definitely look it up. There's AC in this, there's miscarriage in this, so definitely look up triggers before reading this book. It's very dark and disturbing. The ending though, I was like, what the heck is this ending? The ending, it literally just ends. just ends. There's no ending. And you know, I'm okay having an ambiguous ending and stuff, but the way this book was set up, I felt like it needed more that ending. So I'm giving it 3 stars. Definitely worth checking out for a thriller. But yeah, what was up with that ending? If you read this, let me know what you thought. The next book I ended up reading was The Spite House by Johnny Compton. This is a debut haunted house novel, and it's very, very short. My biggest pet peeve with this is that I wanted a little bit more in the Spite House. It kind of turned into a different story than a ghost story for me, but I really like the idea of the Spite House. You guys know I live in a Spite House. I also watched the show Beef on Netflix like around the same time I read this, and I was like, you know what? Haven't we learned something from Beef? And learning something about spite and like holding on to it. So yeah, I really like that. There's a lot of history in this book, social commentary in this book that I feel like tied together really well, but I just wanted a little bit more like spooky stuff happening, and I gave it 4 stars, but I'm thinking like 3.5, but I'll definitely round up to 4 on Goodreads, and I'm excited to read more from Johnny Compton. And I also read another haunted house book. I was trying to read haunted house books in this particular vlog, and that is Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. This is a really heavy dark book about like something happening with 2 friends in a haunted house, and they both kind of think something different happens, and they like hate each other. It's a trans woman in a TERF, and like they used to be friends and now they're not friends, and they have this kind of like misconception of the history that happened, but at the same time you get the past of the actual house, and it's like awful and gory and horrifying, and it felt very Clive Barker-y. I think I said in that vlog, it's like Clive Barker on a ton of drugs with current social commentary going on in it. But I feel like the ending for me, it just didn't all come together in the end, but there's some awesome gore in this. There's some awesome like visual, like great writing. The imagery is beautiful. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's beautifully gory and horrifying and haunting. And this writing definitely stuck with me. This story definitely has stuck with me this month. I find myself thinking about this book almost every day. Almost every day now. I walk past like a weird house, or there's like a certain headline in the news, I just think about this book. So I do think it is like really like lasting, whether or not that it didn't come together in the end for me in the moment. This book has definitely left its mark on me, and I highly suggest the audio for it too, because there's like, it's like a full production. There's sound effects and stuff in a certain part, and yeah, it having a lasting effect on me. I think I'm leaning towards a 4.5 star, and I'll round up to 5 on Goodreads, because I haven't rated anything on Goodreads this month, because I was like, let me see how I feel like a couple weeks after the fact of my books, which I don't usually do. And yeah, highly suggest checking this one out if you're a fan of Clive Barker books, The Hellbound, Heart, or anything by Clive Barker. It has like that the gore and the body horror in it really reminded me of his writing, but also like it's just like new and refreshing while being terrifying, and you're just thinking about it forever. Look up trigger warnings though. This is pretty rough. I think this leans into a bit of extreme horror book. On that note, after talking about that book, I listened to The God Project by John Saul. You guys know I love John Saul now. I have felt pretty mediocre about John Saul, and this one is no exception. This one is interesting though, because it is kind of like The Institute by Stephen King, which I've noticed with John Saul books that his books are very reminiscent to books that come out later on. So I don't know if everybody's just reading a John Saul book and they're like, I'm going to copy that and do it my own way. So yeah, this is about kids with certain powers and the government like using it. yeah, I felt like it was long, and it's not long at all. So I don't know, John Saul. Why did it seem so long? I think this was like a 12-hour audiobook. What the heck? This is like so short. I'm asking John Saul on the back of this cover why this felt so long. But I did enjoy it more than the other 2 Saul books I read this year, so I'm giving it 3 stars. So for Realmalthon, there was a 72-hour like reading. Was it 7? No, it was 48 hours. 48-hour like readathon thing where you just try to read as many books as possible. So I'm just going to quickly go over some of the books that I read for that. I think I ended up reading like 6 books, I think. So Magnum Opus by Caitlin Marceau. This is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it's 65 pages, and it is inspired by the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, but it's set in modern times, and I really like this. I think I'm leaning towards a 5-star for this one. It's like about writers, and like it was great. I loved it. And The Veil by Rachel Harrison. This is an Audible exclusive about a woman who is working at a death museum, and she ends up meeting a ghost, and she's like, "Hey ghost, we should kiss." Like any sane person would do, right? So I think I'm leaning towards 4-star for this one. Let me grab these books. Whisper of Death by Christopher Pike. This was my least favorite Christopher Pike book. I think I'm giving this a 1-star. I will let you guys read or watch my blog why. Night of the Living Dummy 2. I had a lot of fun with this one. I ended up listening to this on YouTube, and it was a lot of fun. There's a really funny part in this where the dummy is like, "You guys are all so stupid. Like, why are you so stupid?" And it's great. So I think I'm leaning towards 4-star for this. And then another Goosebumps books, You Can't Scare Me by R.L. Stine. And yeah, this was really fun too. And I'm giving it 4 stars. Pretty much all the middle grade books I read this month, I'm giving 4 stars because they were just fun. And then I did finish the second novella in When Darkness Loves Us, Beauty Is, and I did not like it at all. When Darkness Loves Us is 5 stars. It's amazing. It's lasting. It's impactful. Beauty is really long, and it's pretty problematic as well. So I think I'm leaning towards a 1-star, which makes me so conflicted about the whole book. Like, what do you give? If you give one story 1 star and you give the other story 5 stars, like, what the heck? Okay, so I think I also ended up reading Something Is Killing the Children. And for that, I can't actually remember what I read for that. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I just wanted a little bit more answers, so I think I'm leaving it 3 stars. But for May, I am reading volume 2 and 3, so I will get more answers. But I really like the artwork, and yeah, it's really gory and cool, so I'm excited to read more. Okay, so for my last vlog I ended up doing in April, I did a vlog around like reading until I hit 5 stars, and I started out with Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armsfield, because I did give Julia Armsfield's collection like 5-star short story collection, Salt Slow, 5 stars, but this book unfortunately didn't really work as well as the short story collection, which is just so weird. And this is even light cosmic horror, but it just didn't work for me. It felt very romantic, and you guys know I'm not really romantic in real life, and I don't really like it in my books because it's like, it was very repetitive. So this is a 6-hour audiobook, but it felt much longer, so I think I'm leaning towards like a 3-star, 3.5 star. I ended up listening to On KU Mothered by Zoe Stage. This book is a thriller. I think this is more of a thriller than a horror book. It is about a mother moving back in with her daughter during COVID. There's a lot of COVID talk in this, so that right off the bat I was like, oh, that's a lot of COVID talk. And then there's so many freaking dream sequences in this, but that is kind of the plot of the story, I guess. And then the ending happens, end, and I was like, that's a good ending. And there's a twist at the end that I didn't see coming, and I thought it was really interesting, and it kind of puts this in another genre, because I feel like it's like a thriller all the way through, and then it gets put in another genre. Also, there's a cat in this, and nothing happens to the cat, and it's like so refreshing. So I think I'm leaning towards like a 3.5 star, and I will round up to 4 for this. At first it was just like a 3-star read throughout, or even a 2-star at parts, because those dreams are like a lot. But yeah, that final little touch at the end, I was like, okay, I can get with that. I ended up reading Sacculina by Philip Fracassi. This is a novella, and it is like a cosmic-y horror animal attack book, and this is about some brothers that go out on a fishing trip, or like a boat trip, to celebrate one of their brothers getting out of prison, and there's a turn in this. It's pretty gory and fun. I think this would be a really fun summer read. So I'm giving it 4 stars. And then for that vlog too, I ended up reading The Remaking by Clea McLeod Chapman. I actually read this for Very Literary Carrie's book club pick, because I'm a co-host, and we actually have our talk tonight because I'm filming this on Sunday. And yeah, I did really like this book. It starts off in 1930s, it jumps to the 70s, and then it jumps to the 90s, and then it jumps to present time. And we mostly follow like a child actress throughout the middle of it. This is a cursed film. This is a cursed film movie, so it definitely worked for old school April. But I just wanted a little bit more spookiness happening throughout this. I felt like it wasn't very scary until like the end. And then even the end, it was pretty vague, which is fine. But I just wanted more of what happened in the end throughout the book. But overall, it read very quickly. I think this is free with an Audible subscription right now too. So yeah, highly worth a listen. The audio was really well produced for it, so yeah, I'm giving it 4 stars. And then with that vlog, the winner of that vlog was Tombs by Junji Ito. This is the new short story collection by him, and Tombs was one of my favorite short stories in this. It was so weird and bizarre and very I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is fun. And the Slug Girl was my favorite. So 5 stars. I love a good Junji Ito. I feel like I have to pick up everything he comes out with. At least just like borrow it if you can't buy it, you know? Like, because my shelf is almost full of Junji Ito over here. But yeah, so much fun. 5 stars. Just 3 books left. This wrap up is so long. Okay, Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I had an arc of this from NetGalley. This is another cursed film book. Cursed film books are a lot of fun, I think. So this is a cursed film book where the actress is revisiting to write. I think she's writing an article or doing a documentary or something. I've actually already forgotten. That's bad. And she starts having these very vivid dreams. Lots of dreams in this, because I don't know what was April, and everything I was reading just had the main character having millions of dreams. I don't know why. So yeah, that definitely like bothered me, and it made the book feel very slow. But there's a really creepy like evil entity thing in this that was very creepy in it, so I thought bumped it back up, and it read like a thriller, so I think I'm leaning towards like a 3.5, and I'll round up to a 4 star on Goodreads. The next book I ended up reading was Head Like a Hole by Andrew Van Wey, and I read this on Kindle Unlimited, and this was Amy Newell's pick for May. She ended up co-hosting with Kelly Hooked on Books, and I will link their discussion down below, because it was really good. I caught it after the fact because I didn't finish in time. This book was a lot of fun. It's very weird. It's so hard to even explain, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Basically, this opens up with like a girl's corpse being found. It's very Twin Peaks-esque, but there's something wrong with this corpse. It's alive, and that's pretty much all I can say. I feel like there are like back and forth things. There's multiple POVs. It has I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes. I feel like I just said that about something else. And yeah, it was a blast. If you like 90s stuff, if 90s vibe books, but it's not like in your face. It's not like we were at the Blockbuster every day or something, you know, like it's not like that. It's very subtle. Each chapter has like a name of a song or like a 90s band and stuff. I liked all the 90s stuff in it. I thought it was great. And I really liked like how freaking weird it got. It got very trippy. It's like, I think this is like cosmic as well. And yeah, it was just so bizarre. There's a police, procedural aspect to this as well. That poor policeman, because this is so weird. He's like, what the heck is going on? And yeah, it was fun. My only thing is that I wish I did the audio for it, because the ebook was almost 400 pages and that took me forever to get there to read, just sitting with it. And yeah, so I think I'm leaning towards like a 4-star or 4.5 star for it, just because of that. But yeah, so much fun. Definitely worth checking out if you like some cosmic weirdness, police procedural stuff happening in the 90s. And to finish out April, I read Gnelfs by Cindy Williams. I listened to this from Audible, and this was Kelsey's pick for Old School April, and boy oh boy, what a book. This opening, so at the beginning of this book, it reads like, or it felt like it was stereo instructions. Honestly, it's very dry. Not a lot is happening. This girl is kind of freaking out. She thinks Gnelfs are coming to get her. You know, your typical 5-year-old stuff, I guess. These Gnelfs are coming to get her, and they are cursing at her. They're calling her mom a whore. And yeah, it's very weird. This took on an occult, supernatural vibes. There's a certain part of this book where it was like 4-star, or it started out 3-star, 4-star, 5-star for me. So it was a journey. I didn't start out this book thinking it was going to be a 5-star read for me, but at the end it was, because of where it goes. And it's just really zany and funny, and sad and brutal and gory. It is all the things a horror lover loves. And yeah, 5 stars for now. Kelsey has such great taste. You guys, go subscribe. And that is it for April. Oh, that was a lot. Let me know what your favorite reads in April were, if you guys participated in anything Old School April. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.